So I had originally wanted to build the entire body out of Richlite. I was wanting to go with a non-wood design. It ended up being too expensive to build the entire blank out of Richlite, and it would have been much too heavy as well. So I was able to get this one-piece Richlite sheet in their darkest color, which is, I believe, called Black Diamond. When you sand this surface, you can get it to look like ebony. And this is much more cost-effective than a sheet of ebony. It's also one piece. And it has this really interesting matte finish to it. So it has a very sleek, modern look to it. It will not require any type of paint or sealer or oil. It's simply ready to go right after you finish sanding. So let's go through the operations. I began by making some test pockets into some scrap wood pine. These are just two 2x4s jointed together quickly, and the neck pocket itself is only going down about 6 or 7 millimeters. It's just enough of a pocket to help me test and seat the neck. So I found a good, nice, snug fit, which leads us to the neck pocket here. I then did the pickup routes. So these are some very nice, clean routes. You can actually see the joint here with the Richlite and the black walnut. This was jointed in the vacuum bag with epoxy. So I wasn't sure how Richlite would respond to gluing with wood glue onto wood. I have used Richlite with epoxy before, so this was my first top with epoxy and pretty happy with it. Very, very tight. The pickup cavities worked out really well, and they revealed the pre-made channels for the wires, and they're going all the way through the cavity there. After I did the routes, I then, with the same end mill, did the hog out for the arm carve and the tuner carve. This arm carve is also unique in that it isn't designed to be ergonomic. I once saw an interview with Ola Strandberg where he said that guitars made to be ergonomic are made to be ergonomic at the expense of looking cool. And I'm paraphrasing that. But this arm carve is not ergonomic. It's designed to look cool. This is again another example of form over function. So this is essentially, if you can imagine what the opposite of an ergonomic arm carve would be, this is it. This actually might even in fact hurt your forearm. But again, it looks beautiful and it looks fantastic, and it's strictly for aesthetic reasons and not because you're going to be comfortable. Here is the arm carve, and it scoops in like this. And I chose this angle specifically to have a nice transition from the Richlite into the walnut. It's the transition that makes it look really nice, but it's also this really beautiful curve and this scoop. I also did the hog out for the back tuner carves, then changed the bit with the ball end mill to do the final finishing passes for both the tuner carve and the arm carve. This tuner carve also dips in curves. The ball end mill also did a nice round over for this particular corner here, which is the only time I have an actual round over. Everything else is going to be a sharp cut. Switched end mills again and did the F-holes. These are gills. You can see through into the weight relief, and it looks pretty neat. It's vented. It's going to really tie in the whole design and give it a forward motion look. With the same end mill, did the switch hole, which is already going into the cavity in the right location, which is perfectly aligned with the center of this pickup. These routes are so crisp and clean. The lines you get on Richlite are very, very crisp. The last operation is to reduce the floor where the tuners are going to sit. This is a curved fret exponential scale guitar, and although it's designed to intonate perfectly, I want the wiggle room to be able to move that saddle back and forth as needed. So instead of designing routes that fit perfectly with the base of each saddle. I routed out the entire floor to give me that room if needed. So all I did was add little indentations. These are 1.5 mil deep to indicate where the screw holes will go for each base. But these are just really markers. I'm using them to visualize the line where the base needs to sit. That way I don't have to worry about them being at a very awkward angle or spaced indifferently. They're at the exact line they need to be in with the string, and I can move them back and forth. These are not deep at all. So if I needed to revise these, I can put a drop of black super glue in here and flatten it out, and then follow that line and move these screw holes where needed. So the last operation is going to be the contour, which I'm going to run right now. And it's just going to roll around like this, all the way around for about 20 minutes. Contour is complete. This exceeded all my expectations. There were some interesting facets that I didn't think would machine. Very, very sharp edges that I thought would break. This tip here broke. Just 2 steps. So I think all I really need to do is just sand an angle. There wasn't supposed to be, but I'll go ahead and put an angle on there to reshape that. This is a very, very, very tight triangle. So is this one. Look at how thin that material is. And yet this one survived. Not sure why this one chipped. Just bad luck, I guess. You can pretty much fix any mistake with sandpaper. All these interesting facets, all this geometry, I didn't think would make it or survive, but it did. I think this is looking fabulous, and it really exceeded all my expectations. That's it for this week. Thanks for watching. Take it easy.